My name is Andrew James Clark, and on behalf of the Canadian Composer Orchestra, I'm here today to give you an inside look at Nicholas Maugh's string trio, A Rowdy Bunch. Now, Nicholas Maugh's string trio explores a really neglected and underrepresented quality of Western art music, and that is humor. This string trio is full of surprises, it's full of inside musical jokes, and it's proof that even us stuffy classical musicians are allowed to have fun sometimes. Now, if you listen to the first movement of Nicholas's trio in our performance video, you may have noticed Arlan, our first violinist, acting kind of strange and exhibiting some peculiar behaviors. You see, very early on in the first section, Arlan actually puts down his violin bow, picks up a guitar pick, flips his violin on its side, and begins strumming it like a ukulele. And if this wasn't strange enough, this is accompanied by two whistling harmonic solos in the viola and the cello. Now, the overall result of this is like nothing you would expect to hear in a string trio. To me, it kind of sounds like a backwater bluegrass country band. Now, if you know anything about the string quartet and string trio, you know there are a lot of historical connotations associated with this ensemble. When audiences go to hear a string trio, they're expecting serious, academic, deep psychological music. Nicholas, of course, flipped these expectations on their head. And this country sound that he created right off the bat was a great way to welcome the audience in and save the more serious stuff for later. And it was a great way to make his string trio sound very, very unique. Now, the next compositional technique I want to talk about, I'm going to refer to them as ornamental pitch bends. Nicholas and I talked, we couldn't quite come up with a good term for this, so I'm naming them ornamental pitch bends. Now, you might already know what an ornament is. An ornament is a decorative musical gesture that musicians add to specific notes in a melody in order to emphasize them or in order to show how important they are. Now, ornaments were used a lot in the Baroque era, and they kind of fell out of fashion in the classical era. And we don't use them that much anymore, but there are still some contemporary genres where you can find ornamentation, like blues. And Nicholas latched onto this and included this feature in his own string trio. So if you're paying attention, you may have noticed that in the third movement of this string trio, Clara has these ornamental pitch bends in between a lot of her melodic notes. And if you look at the score, Nicholas kind of created a new symbol. He had a kind of curved glissando line. It's very short. It goes from thin to thick. And what this did was it encouraged Clara to unevenly slide between the notes she was playing. And we kind of get this kind of banjo twang sound, like when the banjo player bends his strings while he's playing really quickly. And finally, we simply have to discuss the ending of this string trio. Now, you may have never thought of this before, but for composers like Nicholas, who choose to include lots of extended techniques in their piece and choose to compose using just noise, it often creates a big problem. How do you write an ending? How do you end a piece that's made of surprises and noise? How do you resolve extended techniques, right? This isn't like a tonal piece of music where we build up harmonic tension over a long piece over a long period of time, and then we release it at the end to make the audience feel satisfied. How do you resolve sound? It can be very, very difficult. Fortunately for us, Nicholas had one more trick up his sleeve. You see, on the last measure of this string trio, on the last beat, on the very last note, Nicholas instructed all our musicians to lift up their leg and stomp in unison, creating this big boom sound coming from the stage. Now, this was absolutely great. First of all, it complements all the extended techniques we heard so far because it's a sound. And it's a sound we never heard before. It acts as a great punctuation marker to bring the entire work to a close. At the same time, though, it even surpasses the extended techniques because it was created externally of the musical instruments. In a way, it was inevitable. He wrote so many extended techniques, and he used the string instruments in so many unexpected ways. He kind of ran out of stuff to do. So we had no choice but to expect some sort of body percussion at the end. It was really, really cool. It reinforced Nicholas's sense of humor. And if it wasn't a hoedown before, it definitely is now.